Discovery is kind of like a dance. There has to be enough give and take, ebb and flow. And what I mean by that is you have to strike a nice balance between asking questions, listening, but also sharing your viewpoints. Years ago, I would often go in with a certain product in mind, or, ideally having a certain problem in mind that I felt they were dealing with. But then I would realize that they had an entirely different problem from what I had anticipated. There is a time that I remember where I was speaking with a sales leader who had a sales team that wasn't hitting their numbers. And so at the outset, the sales leader had come to me for help with sales training for his team because he knew that the team was losing a certain percentage of their sales. But what became a pivotal moment was when I asked the sales leader what was the size of the deals that the team was winning and what was the average size of the deals that the team was losing. And when he took a moment to think about it and he actually opened up his CRM so that he wasn't going to give me just a wild guess, he was kind of floored because he realized that the average size of the deals the team was losing was twice as big as the average size of the deals that the team was winning. So what appeared to be a certain size of problem was actually much bigger when he took into account the type of deals that they were losing, which proved to the sales leader himself that he needed to take action and he needed to make a change to help the team if they were ever going to reach their longer-term goal of going up market with their offerings. So there are 3 key mistakes that I see sellers making when it comes to discovery. One is focusing too much on their product and not really understanding their buyer's situation. So this is a very broad strokes problem, but it's super common. What you really want to get clear on is what is it costing your customer to continue doing things the way they're doing them today? What's it costing them in terms of revenue or customers or productivity? These are some of the 3 key areas where they may be incurring an expense, in quotation marks, right? Incurring an expense in lost revenue or lost productivity or lost customers or perhaps even increased operating expenses. The second one is accepting vague answers from your buyer. So if your buyer tells you that they are having trouble with a certain situation or problem, you may be tempted to simply accept that and move on, but you've got to get more specific. Peel the onion, go deeper to understand exactly what your buyer means by certain statements that they make. So when you get a vague answer from your prospect, one key litmus test that you can give yourself in that moment is, could I measure this? Is this measurable? And if the answer is no, then you know that you need to dig deeper with your client. So for example, if they tell you something like, we've lost a lot of customers over the last year, a lot is very subjective. It can mean one thing to one customer and an entirely different thing to another customer. So that's just one example of how to follow up when you get a vague answer. How do you make it more measurable? And then the third one is really jumping ahead to offering your solution before you've really understood all the details in that buyer's environment when it comes to the KPIs that they are trying to achieve and what challenges they might be having relative to those KPIs. So don't jump ahead to assuming that they are going to consider your product until they really decide and are understanding that they have to make a change at all. As sellers, sometimes it can be difficult to know when to dive deeper into a certain topic within discovery. And what you really want to be paying attention to is if there is interest from your buyer in learning more, wait for indications of that interest. Wait for questions from them before overwhelming them with too many facts or details. Sometimes it can be tempting to present all of the features and different aspects of your product, but what you'll do if you do that is just overwhelm your prospect. They don't need to know every single thing about your product. Instead, what you want to do is really understand what is going to be relevant to them and then choose just a few features to focus on. So you really have to create that fine dance between asking an insightful question, listening deeply to the answer, asking a thoughtful follow-up question, but then also sharing your observations and your thoughts and the reasoning behind your question. Because sometimes if you just ask a lot of questions without providing context, you're not providing safety, and your prospects will feel interrogated. So again, it's about creating that fine balance and that nice dance of give and take. So if you'd like to learn more about how to lead a strong discovery meeting, check out the free resource that we have linked from the Sales Collective down below.